Clingan, in general, how do you come away from this season? Your thoughts on how you played and how the team played, and just kind of how the season played out for you guys.
I feel like we did a lot of great things. We won more games than last year. We made the playoffs. We got better. We connected as a whole group. We created relationships that are gonna last forever. I feel like it's a really special team. With the coaching staff, everyone included, it was a fun year. It was a good year. But there definitely is a lot to learn from this year.
What would you say maybe one of the biggest things you learned this year was?
I feel like that every game counts, every minute counts, especially going through the playoffs. They're hard-fought games, so making sure you're prepared, you're mentally ready, and you go out there and you play a full 48 minutes. I feel like it's something that personally I definitely will take away from this.
You kind of went into last off season wanting to redefine your body and get in better shape and all that. What will be your focus this summer? What will be your biggest things you're working on?
Getting stronger, getting faster, being able to move my feet. Defending the perimeter more, working on my touch, in that mid-paint section, and making sure the three ball's consistent. But I feel like just movement, being able to move faster, better. Being able to, pump fake and attack the rim off the three-point line. There's a lot of things that, I want to work on and I want to get better at. But, obviously it's not all going to happen at once. But, there's going to be a lot of time in the gym this summer.
So how do you go about that? I mean, that sounds like a lot of agility and athleticism. I mean, is that just...
Yeah, just, in the weight room, working on footwork, playing ones against guards, just constantly working and doing whatever I can to, make my feet quicker. It's working out on the beach or, whatever it is.
There were a lot of things that this team had to deal with this season from, before the season even started all the way up to now that really did not have a whole lot to do with the basketball court, but you guys still were able to improve and get better and work through those things. How much did that adversity help this team grow up and be able to continue to do what you were able to do on the floor?
I feel like it made us very strong. It never, with everything that happened and went on, we just stayed connected. We realized what our goal was. We realized what our plan was. And we really just stuck together. At the end of the day, we're the guys that go out and play basketball. And, there's a lot of stuff that goes on in everyone's individual lives. And, in our circumstance, as our team, we had some stuff going on, but, we realized that we had a job to do at the end of the day. We had to go out there, we had to perform and win games, and, we were able to do that.
Donovan, can you just speak to how impactful Rob is on the floor and also what he means to the locker room of this team?
Yeah, Rob's one of my favorite players. I've played with, but, growing up, I was a big Rob fan. Watching him on the Celtics, he was one of my favorite players growing up, and just what he brings to the locker room. Before Game 5, he texted me. He's like, "Hey man, forget about the last 4 games. You go out there and do what you do, and put everything in the past, and just do what you've done all year to get us here." And just having the leadership and a guy like that in my ear is, it gives you a lot of confidence. And he's just one of the best guys to be around. He's always happy. He's always giving good advice. He's always, pushing us, and his impact on the floor is speaks for itself. What he did through a whole season, and really through the playoffs was something really special. And Rob is a great guy, and we just love to have him around.
You need to get your Chipotle from him, though.
I know. Maybe we'll go a couple Chipotle breaks this summer.
How did the playoffs sit with you in your performance? What did it do for you heading into the off season?
It motivated me. Obviously, didn't perform the way I wanted to. I didn't live up to how I played all year. But it definitely is a learning experience that I could go back and watch and learn a lot from. Just the physicality, the movement, the style of play. There's a lot to learn from it. But it definitely motivated me to go out and have a big time summer and come in better than ever next year.
Any other questions? All right.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Donovan.
Thanks, Donovan.
first off, how do you come away from the season? Kind of your thoughts and feelings about the way you played this year, the way the team played, and just how the season played out for you guys.
Yeah, man. First of all, just thankful. I can stay healthy throughout the season. That's the biggest thing. Put in a lot of work this summer. I think I played. Obviously, I feel like I had a decent season because I stayed healthy. I feel like I could have contributed more in a lot of aspects, but it's kind of just trying to get my feet back under me. But yeah, as always, I just feel like the team been a team full of fighters, man. From everything we went through during the jump, the play-in games. You know what I'm saying? Still in the game in San Antonio, so just proud of everybody.
To your point about staying healthy, the plan that the team and you had together, whether not playing at back-to-backs and things like that, making an effort to put you in the best position to be healthy and play as many games as possible. How did that work out, and how do you, looking back on it, how do you feel like that went?
Yeah, even going into the off season last summer, the program they put together for me. Honestly, I think it went good. It went good. Like I said, made it through the season, and just hoping to build off of it. Maybe get a little more freedom, a little more leeway with stuff like that.
Rob, you're one of the few guys whose contract is up heading into next year. How are you approaching, your free agency, and do you want to be back here? Like, where do you stand with all that?
Yeah, for sure. I love Portland, man. If I can be back with my dogs, I'll for sure do that. But it's everything is a negotiation. Everything is a business. So.
What was the message from front office and coaches there at the end on that subject in particular?
With me, I haven't really had my meetings with the office yet. So.
Rob, what do you see from Donovan as far as his growth this season?
Oh man, he made a crazy leap, man, a crazy leap. Shout out to DC. I've been telling him the whole year, from him coming into training camp in way better shape, being able to withstand the games, playing longer stints, man, to the tray ball, he became a real volume shooter for us. So I just want him to keep growing, as he continues to play this game.
What more do you think he has to show and bring?
I think he can improve in all the areas that he's already great in, obviously, and all the areas he's not. I think just focus on the defense a little bit. Now that people know you can shoot, they know what you do. You got to add to your game the next year. That's the thing about the league. So.
The bar for you the last few seasons has just been get through the season healthy. Being able to clear that and now know you can kind of add a little bit more to what the bar is for you, how nice is that?
Oh, it's a great feeling, man. I've just been real thankful, like the past 3-4 days, like you said, just getting through this season. But now I can't raise the bar. I can do a little more intense things and more intense workouts that I want to do during the summer. Maybe getting off the minute restriction thing, the playing time thing. So just looking forward to stuff like that.
Rob, you got here during the first year of this rebuild when they only won 21 games, and now you help them get back to the playoffs. How important would it be for you to keep being a part of this and help them build for the next steps?
Yeah, like I said, man, I always want to stay with my dogs. I feel like I found another home in Portland, and I'd be happy to stay here, help to rebuild. Proud of the young guys. We've been together for a couple years, like you said. But like I said, everything is a business. It's a negotiation, and yeah, we got to get into the talks.
What do you view the next steps for this franchise to get to?
I feel like this year we kind of set a standard, or a line for ourselves that I feel like we can't go below. It's a problem if we go below that. So I feel like that's the mindset now, and just building up from there.
How would you describe the job that Tiago did, and obviously his future's as unsettled as yours is? What would you say about all that for him?
Yeah, I think he came in. I think he came in aggressive, and we needed that. You know what I'm saying? He let us know nobody was gonna feel sorry for us. He was a player, so he brings the fight. He brings the enthusiasm. I think he did such a great job coaching us and motivating us, and kind of letting us know he was in it with us. We all in this together. We all going through this together. But he told us that first day, none of the other teams are gonna feel sorry for you. Nobody gonna feel sorry for you. And I think that day, we was just ready to go to war with him.
What will be important for you as you weigh your next move? Like, what factors will determine whether you stay or go or whatever?
Yeah, it's a lot. Obviously the money is a part of it, but just everything, man. I love the training staff here. Looking in the teams as I get older, I'm not just going to the first team that calls. I'm kind of trying to check out everything, the settings, the coaches, all that. So.
You shot and made more threes this season than your entire career before. How did that come about to be a part of your game? And do you think you are at a place where you can add more elements to your game?
It was kind of just a confidence thing. A couple of my teammates and coaches were telling me to take some shots when I'm open, knowing when to shoot it. And I think, it's just something I added to my game. I do want to continue to work on that during the summer now that I did add it to my game, and hopefully I can, help with that.
DC says you owe him some Chipotle.
I owe him Chipotle? Oh, yeah. We played as like, I do owe him Chipotle.
All right, any other questions? Yeah, Rob, you talked about your health and how you have found that spot where you feel like you're growing. Do you kind of have to fight it now, though, to not push it too far? Just kind of find that spot of scratching that itch and wanting to play as much as possible, but also keeping your body right at the same time, just knowing with just the injury history?
Yeah, I feel like that was the year of this, kind of like she said, it was kind of just let me see if I can get through it. That's kind of why I'm so thankful. But I withstood a lot of stuff, showed a lot of strength in my body from working out, weight room wise, to just playing on the court, and just looking to build off of it.
All right, thank you all.
Thanks, Rob.
Thanks, Rob.
You said
So Chris, how do you come away from the season? Just your thoughts and feelings about how you played, how the team played, and how things went for you guys in the postseason.
I'd say it was a positive season. In a lot of ways, I feel like obviously how we started and then how we finished, there was a lot kind of in between that. And you're gonna have your highs and lows throughout a season. I feel like we, like the highs were really good, and I feel like we minimized the lows. Where in, like years past, I feel like those have kind of just compounded. But I feel like there was improvement from all the guys. We had contributions from everybody. Our two-ways, our vets, young guys. I feel like everyone contributed to get to where we got to in the postseason. And the postseason, I feel like, we had our opportunities to, win a few more games and probably still be playing now. But I think we're going to learn from it, and there's a lot to learn going into the summer from that.
Chris, what can you say about the job that Tiago did coming in and the situation he came in with? And if it was up to you, you hope that he is back next year?
Yeah, I mean, I thought he did a really good job. From the first day he took over, he kind of just brought us all together and just tried to make it seem like everything was normal. And I think he did a really good job just kind of bringing everyone together and playing hard for him. And I think that was the biggest thing. We all wanted success for him. We want him to have his opportunity. I feel like he did a really good job with that. And I mean, I feel like you can probably ask any player. They love him. They love playing for him. And I mean, you kind of saw his speech the other day. It was pretty impactful, and that's just kind of all the emotions that went throughout the season.
Chris, how would you assess where your career is as you head into this offseason, and what's your mindset going into the summer?
Yeah, my career has kind of been up and down, as you probably know, in the rotation, out of the rotation. And for me, the summer is just kind of first just getting my body right, just playing through a lot, like the last part of the season with my back and stuff. But off season is just gonna be working on my mobility, strength, shooting, just being in the gym. That's kind of just what I'm going to be this summer, just a gym rat. Don't have many plans this summer besides that, so that's just going to be a big emphasis. And first, just taking some rest, and with myself, got to take a little time off after this long of a season. So
This year with all the injuries, roles changed on a night-to-night, game-to-game, week-to-week basis, and your role changed, and with a lot of the guys. Because of that, a lot of players were asked to do different things that weren't necessarily in their skill set or what you guys were here specifically for. How much did those things help the individual development of you, your teammates, and this team, knowing that tonight I'm going to have to do something that isn't necessarily in my bag?
yeah, I mean that was kind of a lot of us. But for me personally, I played the 5 a few times this year, where I haven't done that since like my sophomore year of college. So had a game where I started at the 5, and that's just kind of what you have to do. You have to adjust on the fly, and got to do what it takes to win games. And I'd do anything to still be playing right now. Like I'm going to do whatever coach wants me to do on the court, and just accept it. But a lot of guys play different positions. We didn't have like Drew or Jeremy or Scoot for a while, and then we needed other guys to kind of pick up that slack, and they did. So I thought that was pretty cool to see throughout the year, and just how guys are able to adjust and just be fine with it. I feel like you don't see that on a lot of teams.
Chris, you guys played a bunch of different styles this year, which you kind of came in the season playing one style, playing hyper-aggressive defensively, and then injuries piled up and you kind of had to back it off a little bit, and then you guys get to the playoffs. When you kind of take a look at like where everything was and the styles that you played throughout the season and where the team as a whole, do you take something from that and go, okay, we actually are building onto something, even though there's been these kind of different versions of the team throughout the season?
Yeah, I mean, I think our identity was kind of how we started at the beginning of the year. That kind of pick up full court, just high intensity, run the floor. And then obviously, yeah, like you said, those injuries kind of prevent us from doing that for a little while. But then, I mean, we didn't have our full roster really until the Suns game a few weeks ago. So I feel like there's a little bit of chemistry that needed to be fixed kind of on the fly in the playoffs. And I feel like some games were good, some games were bad. But ultimately, I feel like that's something to build off in the offseason. Like we weren't 100 until like our most important game of the season. So we want to play fast. We want to be in your face. You want to be a physical team, and I feel like that's something that we can definitely build off going into the offseason.
Good.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Chris. Good summer, man.
What's up, guys? What are you doing?
How excited are you for this right now?
What's up?
How excited are you for this right now?
Oh, man. Couldn't wait. It was really the whole night.
First off, Tiago, just your thoughts on the season. Obviously, a very interesting season, and one I imagine we'll probably won't forget. So, just how do you come away from this one?
I think when we look overall the season, all the moments that we went through, good and bad, the balance is positive. I think one of the main aspects of the game that I wanted was compete every night. And for the most part, we compete every game and we had a chance to win those games. Players got better. I got better throughout the season. The staff got better. As an organization, we figured out things and we got better. And that's what you want. You want to see improvement. You want to see players making better decisions. You want the staff making better decisions, myself making better decisions. And I think we did that throughout the season. And I see that as a positive.
Tiago, what has the team and the leadership told you about your status going forward and when there might be some sort of resolution on that?
Well, we decided to, we're going to talk. I don't know when. Of course, I told you guys I want to stay. But we got to talk to some things and figure it out, honestly.
Have they given you any indication about where things stand from their perspective, or is that just something you'll talk about at the meeting?
There's a lot of talking right now, and I think some of them are exaggerations, clickbaits and stuff like that. I have a good relationship with Tom, with Joe. We just need some times now, and I understand. It's a new owner. He's trying to figure out us as well, learn what we do and what we do wrong and good. And I guess he needs some time as part of it. And we just finished the season. But my relationship with Joe and Tom is great right now, and we just gotta wait a little bit here and make a decision.
What are you most proud of about this year?
I think I use this word a lot of times this year, and it's resilient. This group was a resilient group. When you go through injuries, when you go through, it's kind of, I'm gonna repeat, but it's the F through. What happened to Chauncey, the injuries, different lineups every night, different way we played. We were aggressive, not aggressive, two ways, having minutes. So I think when you go through all of that and you look back, and it's like, it's not easy, and it's not easy for the players as well and for the staff. So we kind of have to adapt throughout the season, and I think that's the word for this group.
Speaking of adapting with everything that happened to Chauncey and you being thrown into this role, what did you learn about yourself as a coach, and how did you grow?
What did I learn about myself? I don't know. I just kept, fighting every day, day by day. I learned a lot from others. How can I coach this team? How can I coach certain players? How can I lead my staff? How to make them better? How to improve the day-to-day? When to be a little firmer on the coaches meeting, when to be a little firmer on the film sessions, practice, when to give them a little bit more like a relaxed time, and all of those little things that you learn throughout the year made me better.
Tiago, if you could point to one thing that you got better at as a coach from the beginning of the season to now, what would that be?
how to push the right buttons with the players, how to coach them on the court during games, what we need in certain moments. I learn what the players need, how to get guys ready. Also learn tendencies that they have throughout the game. I think it's one thing is just to watch them on TV. Another one is, get the best out of them on a timeout, on a pregame speech, on how you prepare a practice, stuff like that. So I think I got way better. I'm still learning. I'm still a young coach. I'm not saying I'm Phil Jackson. I'm not that, but I got better for sure than I was last summer.
What can you say about Danny Avdia's growth this year all the way to becoming an all-star? And how much do you think you and your coaching style has to do with that?
Well, I think Danny, of course, stepped up his game and got better on readings throughout the game, on being efficient with a higher volume, being efficient when they're scouting for you, being efficient when you're tired and you're playing 38 minutes a night. And why he got better, one is himself, working and believing on himself. I think our coaches did a tremendous job developing him with film, with workouts throughout the summer, with us also understanding how can he be effective and putting plays or sometimes just being random and giving him the ball in open transition, in semi-transitions, and this is when he really flourished.
If we could go back to the second day of the season and tell you what's gone now, what would you do differently? What would you change about the way you guided the team and the franchise?
Man, you're gonna get me to the details of it, but I think honestly, when we start the season, when you see the roster and what kind of players we had, and we didn't have like a pick and roll dominant guy. We didn't have like clear, just shooter type of thing. We have a lot of guys that could do different things, but we're not specialists. So when you have a roster like that, you got to try to involve everybody. You try to. So we had this system where we call the blender, right? Like where we try to stay connected and try to create a first advantage, and then after that it's kind of like a avalanche where everybody has something to do in the offense and everybody's involved. A little less set plays, let's say. And we even joke, we need a little bit more set plays and a little bit more like old school, slow, and because in the playoffs that's what's going to be. And one of the coaches say, well, we first got to get there, right? And when we got to the playoffs, I felt like we missed that a little bit more of set plays, to be honest. This is being very critical of myself and being open to you guys. And I told the guys that. I mean, listen, I wish we had a little bit more of that, a little bit more of structure, and we try at the end, but it's not as easy. And also the roles got a little bit better defined by the end of the season, and you could see Danny could play pick and roll. He became a way better pick and roll player than last year, and other guys as well. So I think we grow as a team, I grow as a coach, and I will do certain things differently for sure. I'll be a little bit more organized, a little bit less random, if I'm honest to you and being very open. So I'm not scared to say that. I don't want to hide anything. It's just part of the learning process.
You mentioned that. You mentioned that you learned that Denny became a better pick and roll player because of the situation he had to be in based on health. what else did you learn about this team, skill set specific to players, things like that, that you might not have known if those injuries didn't present those opportunities?
Well, there's a lot of things, how to get Jeremy involved, how to, when you have the two ways playing heavy minutes, how to create offense for them. DC becoming, even though he didn't shoot well in the playoffs, he was a threat, 3-point threat throughout of the season, and that helped us a lot. You gotta, now you gotta replicate that in the playoffs, which is a different game, a more physical game, and he knows that, and he's gonna work the whole summer and becomes an even better shooter. DC, his ceiling is way higher than he is right now. He gotta get better, and he understands that. And we have an open talk about that. So, like I said, we're not hiding anything. We're taking on the chest, and we're learning and getting better as a group here.
I got one more. The box. Who won and what
The
was
box
the
we
prize?
just reviewed, and was a really nice glass basketball. I guess you guys are gonna see in the social media soon. But the man of the box is Stu Money. Could not be another guy. He got the most box throughout the year. A guy that sets the tone for us, and we had a lot of good defenders, but he's elite. And I'm not a big award guy and type of thing, but I hope the NBA award him with, being in one of those teams.
He always seems to be overlooked. Is there a way to describe what he means to this team?
I mean, if guys don't, if I know you guys know this, but if the rest of the league don't see it, I mean, you guys got to pay attention on what he does and how he plays, the miles that he runs, and the amount of attentions that he puts in the game, and he's so proud of being, the best defender on the court every time.
Thanks, Tiago. What's up with the ball?
What's up with the ball?
Yeah.
Oh, I do play basketball, bro.
You just walk around with the ball all day, every day?
No.
Matisse, how do you kind of come away from this season, both for yourself and for the team?
Personally, was just happy to get healthy and be able to stay healthy. And then just getting a chance to get back in the rotation and make an impact. And then as a team, I feel like from the outside looking in, we really overachieved. But I think for everyone who's been around, like I'm sure you guys feel it and we all feel it in the locker room, we have more to give. And there's a lot more that we can get out of this group. And so, I mean, like we'll take, I guess, a pat on the back of beating the odds, like Vegas, whatever it was that they had for us. But I think for us, we all see how much potential we have that is still yet untapped, and look forward to like getting key pieces, getting Dame back, and just seeing what can happen when we run it back.
Matisse, you're a free agent this summer. Is your hope that you'll be back here, and what are your expectations for how that's going to go?
I don't really know how the whole proper free agency thing goes. I was a restricted free agent before, but this is very different. Expectations, don't have any, don't know what to expect, but I would love to be a part of this team again. Like I said, great group with a lot of potential, good people. Like I think I talk about this with like my friends and even like the older players on the team who've been traded. like, I don't know if everyone on this team fully realizes how good of a group we really have, because you can get a couple bad eggs that spoil it for everyone, but we don't have anything close to that. And just the level of care and just the quality of character we have in our locker room is something that's really nice to be a part of. So me personally would love to be here and continue growing with this team, but like I said, no expectations.
So with that, the last couple of years, you battled through some injuries for good chunks of the season and finished strong, and you came in and immediately made an impact and were ready to go. Different injuries, handled different ways, things happen in basketball and in sports, but for you to be where you want to be physically next year, what's your approach going forward?
Well, I think I'm there now. The thing that we had to deal with this year was, like, I've been learning how interconnected the body is, and so the injuries that I was dealing with this year were really left over from the previous season, and so now having the big picture and having it all been addressed, like, I was able to come back and didn't miss anything, and so that was the biggest thing. I don't think we had, I'll speak for myself, I didn't have a proper understanding of how everything was interplaying with each other, and so now that that's been sorted, there's no plan to fix anything. Like, we found it, and we're just on the right path now.
Stacey, you talked about how when you got here with Chauncey, how he gave you the freedom to play on both sides of the ball. Do you feel like you have that same kind of freedom with Tiago, even though you didn't necessarily get the amount of burn that you would normally get, which because of the injuries? Do you feel like you're still being kind of empowered in that role and to be that disruptor defensively, to take more actions in the offense?
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I think with Chauncey, it was more, let's just say, like, on a personal level, he was encouraging me to do these things, and then with Tiago in this season, it was more the structure of the offense encouraged everyone to get involved, and then I think I was able to make some strides through the summer, and honestly just through being injured with my shot, and through that I felt definitely from the coaches encouragement to just take more catch and shoot opportunities, and like I said, they were available just given the nature of how our offense kind of runs.
What do you think this team needs to take the next step?
I think this year. I think what we just went through. I think so much can be gained from lived experience, and having, like I said, we beat Vegas's numbers, but like for us, I think having a disappointing playoff experience, just it gives you so much raw material to work with as far as like how to improve and what to get better and what worked, and yeah, just continuing to build. I think the narrative for the last, since I've been here, has just been like we have a young team, and I don't think people fully realize how hard it is to be a young team in this league because the learning curve is so steep. But with every season, like, we're seeing players make huge jumps in numbers, but a lot of that can be attributed to player development, but also it's just knowing the game, understanding how to play in the NBA, how the NBA works, and just developing your basketball IQ.
I forget what media interview place I asked you this. I don't remember if it was X interviews last year or the media day, but you know, you've had quite a few years in terms of injuries, stuff with Team Australia for the Olympics. I'm just curious if your relationship with, if there's any more evolution of your relationship with the game of basketball through the last, 7 months that you had to deal with the injury stuff that you had to deal with.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know if I can fully quantify it, but when, like you mentioned Australia, you mentioned the injuries. When you have this thing taken away from you, it definitely shifts your perspective and just changes the way you relate to it. Because I think for a lot of us, we feel like we have a lot of control in how we got here. We worked hard, we got ourselves here, and we whatever. But then, having gone through what I've been through the last, 2 years, 3 years, I've just seen how much is not in my control and how much can be taken away from you whether you want it to be or not. And so I definitely have a deeper appreciation and a greater gratitude for the opportunities just to be a part of it, to be an NBA player, to be able to play basketball even, and I think that's something my younger self that was lost on me, and now it's definitely something I cherish.
How would you evaluate the job that Tiago did, particularly under the circumstances? He inherited it.
I mean, he on the court, there's a term where if it's late in the shot clock and someone throws you the ball because they don't have a good look and you have to shoot it with no time left, they call it a grenade. And in a sense, it's kind of what Tiago was thrown. And he's, and I've said it a bunch, but we beat the projections of what we were supposed to be capable of with a good team and with a normal situation. And I mean, by good, I meant healthy. With a healthy team, with a normal situation. And so Tiago took on a job that wasn't originally planned and took on a roster that didn't get stable until like the last couple games of the season. I mean, we just had our meeting, and I'm like, it's in some cases a bit of a miracle, but in our world, no one, even if you overachieve, it can still be disappointing for people. And so I think as far as I'm concerned, like Tiago did an amazing job. Like he knocked it out the park. But as far as everyone else is concerned, like we didn't perform well in the playoffs and we had ups and downs. But I think if you look at the big picture, I don't know how many people could replicate what he was able to do this year with what he had to work with.
Matisse, with the way you guys, the style of play you guys employed, particularly early on in the season on the defensive end, before kind of everyone got injured, do you think that's something that you guys gave back to and would be sustainable for an entire season?
Yeah, I think with a healthy roster, yeah. And I'm sure someone could make the argument at some point that, like, well, what if guys got injured because of it? And I don't think so. I think that, like, if you just, like, we just had freak things happen. And it was unfortunate, but the style of play that we started the season with is definitely something I think they'll want to get back to. And it was talked a lot. It was talked about a lot too, just as far as the impact it had on other teams. And given the amount of care that we all share as a team on the defensive end, I do think that we're capable of being able to do something like that and sustaining it for a whole season.
To your point about culture, right? Things happened and changed. Now you have somebody who was in the same level as the other coaching staff is now leading them, and everybody bought in. And players had roles that were changing, that because of injuries, they were asked to do things that they weren't supposed to be asked to do. How much of that culture and character led to the results you guys had on the floor? And can you describe just how unique that is in this league?
I mean, yeah. I don't know if I've seen anything like it before, but I think everyone here is competent, they're good at their job, right? Like that's how you get here, and so you get your foot in the door. But I think there's something to be said about the person, the individuals, the quality of character in this building, and people being able to put their pride aside or whatever it is, their ego, their agendas, whatnot. Because this thing doesn't work if you don't buy in on every level, from a coach to an athletic trainer to a player. Like, none of it went according to plan, and none of it was expected, but still somehow we were able to pull it out. And I genuinely think that has everything to do with the quality of people that we have in this building, as opposed to the expertise, if you will. Because I think everyone was willing to just, throw themselves into the fire and just let it be about the main thing, which is trying to win games and do what's best for the team.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Steve.
Steve.
Jeremy, how do you come away from the season, both in terms of your performance and the team's performance, and the playoff experience as well for this team after 5 years away?
It was good. I think a lot of stuff was happening, happened throughout this season. But I think everybody came together, was resilient. We did what we were supposed to and then some. So I think overall it was a positive season.
And how about you individually?
Same. I think, it's ups and downs throughout the season, as it always is, but I think overall it was positive.
Jeremy, going into the last few off seasons, there's been all these kind of questions and uncertainty about your future and whether you're going to be here. Do you see yourself being here again next year beyond this year?
I mean, it's not really up to me, but hope so.
Jeremy, for your game, and when Tiago came in, was going to change the offense up a little bit. You're taking less mid-range shots, more threes, more shots at the rim. Your percentages go up, things stabilize there. How much did some of those changes in the design of the offense help your game kind of stabilize and be where you want it to be?
I think everything's always an adjustment. Always got to figure out, what the coaches want from me, what the organization wants from me. Then I got to figure out how to mix my game into, what they want. And I think, they helped me out a lot this year, just to be able to figure it out and stay with me, through the ups and downs. So.
Jeremy, how do you feel like Tiago did once he took hold of the team and kind of, not just that, but beyond that, how do you feel like you fit into what he wants to do and how he wants to kind of run things?
Yeah, I mean, I think he did a good job. Like I said, it was a lot going on this season. We had to deal with a lot of adversity and things like that. So, for him to come in and, take the reins and be able to adjust and help us to, get 40-plus wins is big, especially, after the seasons that we had in the past. So I think he's done a good job of just trying to mesh everybody together, and and I'm just a piece of that. So.
What do you think this team's missing that it needs to take the next step for next year?
To be honest, I don't like if you look at our roster and things that we have. I don't think we're missing much of anything. To be honest, I think you can say experience in the postseason experience and things like that. But we also got players that's been there, won championships and things like that. So I can't really point to something that we're missing completely. I think we can become better shooters, but I also think we have people who could shoot the ball on the team as well. So.
Any other questions? Appreciate y'all.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Tumani, that's your name. How do you kind of come away from the season, both individually and as a team, and just your thoughts on how you guys competed, particularly in the playoffs this season?
I think it was a very positive season in a lot of ways. Looking at the big picture, how we was able to play the season, progress throughout the season, stick together on and off the court, how everybody was able to grow and learn from one another and really enjoy this year. I feel like everybody really enjoyed this year. Just being able to play the postseason and compete and having a team where everybody's on the same wavelength and really appreciate one another. I think we show a lot of progress, a lot of resilience, a lot of togetherness, and a lot of situations that were tough for everybody. So yeah, I'm very proud and happy of how we was able to fight and stay who we are throughout all the ups and downs.
And how about you individually? I know you had mentioned kind of at the beginning of the playoffs, you felt like the start of the season maybe wasn't what you wanted it to be, but how do you kind of come away from your personal performance?
Yeah, I don't think it was the best year for me. Even though I feel like I progressed, I made a lot of things work my way, I feel, throughout the season. Even though there was a lot of ups and downs, I feel like I was able to get more mature, understand my situation even better. Still improving in a lot of different areas that I wanted to improve on. Set a lot of goals for myself by playing 82 games and setting the offensive foul record. And played the off season, playing the playoffs. I think that was one of the biggest goals for me this year. Is help the team win and help the team get to the playoffs, and we was able to do that. Not the result that we wanted, but I feel like individually, yeah, I was able to. Biggest thing, grow mentally, be more mature, and still able to accomplish certain goals that I had set for myself.
What will your off season look like? What's your focus this summer?
So a lot of training, a lot of try to get better, get my body used to play longer throughout the year until like June, and get some time for myself, relax a little bit, resource myself with my family and friends and loved ones. Learn new things, challenge myself for off the court stuff like reading more books, getting smarter, learn new things, new hobbies or stuff like that. Giving back to the kids, giving back to my community back home. One of the biggest things that I really cherish and want to put a lot of effort in. Me and my team try to improve the back home basketball atmosphere and level of attention. And yeah, keep being a better human.
Tumani, what can you say about the job that Tiago did this year, given the circumstances that he was handed and the way the season went?
I think he did a great job. I mean, he got us where we wanted to be, and then I feel like everybody could have done better. You know, everybody can have improvements in their own ways, but I feel like through the situation that he was put in and everything that he has to go through for his first year as an NBA coach, I think he was very successful and was able to find a lot of positive things to think about for him this summer.
You said you're going to go back home and improve basketball atmosphere. Does that include playing for the national team? And also, did you get a chance throughout the year to talk to other international players on the team who played for their national teams? Danny, Wap when he was here, and learn anything from them?
Yeah, it's definitely something that I want to do eventually in my career. Represent my country. I feel like I say, I want to change the culture back home and towards basketball and have a bigger impact on that end. So play for the national team is definitely something that will help. I think there's time and place for everything. I'm not sure again how it's going to happen for me exactly this summer, but there's a lot of positive that's happening, a lot of good change happening, and like you said, talking to some of my teammates that do play for their national teams, I know how much pride we take as foreigners to play and represent our country for the game of basketball. So being able to have their experience and their point of view on the national team is very important, and yeah, it helps me making a decision on how I want to approach things for sure.
What would it mean to you to be recognized again on the all-defensive team for a second year, and do you think you deserve it?
Um, yeah, it would mean a lot. It would mean a lot. Just that I was able to maintain or improve my status from last year defensively. Um, do I feel like I deserve it? I feel like it was not my best defensive from the start this year, but I feel like I was able to find a rhythm. There's a lot of adjustments I had to take. A lot of teams that knew that I was a good defender now, so they were making adjustments, try to take me out of plays. A lot of screen that I had to go through. So it's really trying to find another way to have an impact defensively. You know, it was try to adjust for me defensively this year, and I feel like I was able to do that throughout the end of the season. But um, I believe I'm better of a defender than I've ever been in my life as of today. So internally, yeah, I believe I'm first team all year. Um, but there was a lot of things that I had to adjust and try to maneuver throughout the year that teams was doing, different scheme that they were putting me through to kind of like X me out the situation defensively. So yeah, I feel like I deserve first team, but it's not really up to me. So we'll see.
You mentioned the offensive foul record. It's risky, right? Because you put yourself in a position where you can pick up fouls, and there were a couple of games where that happened. Obviously, you're paying attention to other players' tendencies and things on other teams, but so much of that is up here. How much of that has been you understanding the way that officials officiate things to know what's going to work and what's not in those spots?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me was initially being a defender and the offensive game getting better and better, and defense is not really put in a state where you can be as physical as you want. You cannot create contact most of the time and stuff like that. So how can I be a smarter defender? How can I really have an impact on that end? And when I was seeing a offensive player finding ways to create fouls and get to the free throw line more often, just try to find a way to do that defensively also. Try to manipulate the game and, like you say, understand how the referee called the game and be smarter on that side. I feel like that was the biggest thing for me. That was the biggest challenge. Try to figure out how can I improve. Like I said again, being put away in the corners, not really having as many on-ball situations. How can I have an impact on the game and still get stops and fighting through screens and stuff like that and be physical and using that to my advantage? I think that was the biggest thing that I could improve in my game this year, and get that record means a lot to me for sure.
To your point about being in the corners and things like that, it seemed like in the last couple of years, your shot selection was more cutting to the basket, being around the rim, getting second points and things like that. But because of the injuries and the flow of the offense, you're taking more threes, you're out there more as a perimeter player. That adjustment, and then when guys are coming back healthy, needing to do both of those things, how do you adjust to that now going forward?
Yeah, I think it was really tough for me this year, try to always having to figure out my role and try to understand where I can have an impact offensively. It's my first year really shooting the ball at a pretty good level at a high rate. So taking only threes was the first time in my life where there was games where I only shot threes. So it was a big adjustment. And yeah, try to find ways to keep being involved into the game. You know, I feel like crashing offensive boards, next play action, try to facilitate and stuff like that. I think that's also areas that I was able to excel in. But yeah, it's always about adjustment. You know, that you have injuries. I was fortunate enough to play 82 games this year, so be able to adjust with different lineups and stuff like that. How can when I play with Shea play this way? How can I play with Scoop play a certain way? And still able to have my impact on both sides. I think it's been the biggest challenge for me, but I think it's all about figuring out and confidence. I put a lot of work in and stuff like that, so no matter if my shot's going in or not, just going out there, play with a lot of confidence. I think that's the biggest thing for me as of today.
What did you learn about yourself and the team in the playoffs? Like, where can you guys improve? Where can you improve individually to make it a deeper run, to close out some of those games where you had leads? Like, when you look back and film, and you personally, where do you evaluate that at?
I would say the same thing. I think it's based on confidence, based on being more mature, understanding the moment, and stick together, you know, togetherness. I feel like there's moments where I can be focused on me being more confident, and then somebody being more focused on being more together in that moment. And I feel like having players on different page throughout playoffs is very tough. You know, like everybody can have different mindset, they focus on different things, but if you go in with the right mindset, everybody's on the same page. We know what we're doing, we know the game plan, and we mature enough to understand the situation and everything. I feel like we are a very hard team to beat when we're on that type of mindset, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, there's moments where shots is not falling, so naturally your confidence might drop a little bit, and you try to regain your confidence, and everybody can be on different page. But I think, yeah, it's about maturity, understand the moment, and just going out there and hoop and be confident in what you do.
What are you gonna do with your new glass ball?
What am I gonna do with it? I'm gonna put it next to the other one.
What did it mean to be recognized?
It means a lot. It means a lot, especially from an organization. Having people, the people you work for, work with, recognize what you do on a daily. I think it's very humbling, very grateful for these moments, and be able to represent my family and my loved ones that way and be recognized by others. I feel like there's no better feeling than that, and having a positive impact on the franchise. That's all I always wanted to do as a basketball player. So, yeah, very grateful for that.
Thank you.
Appreciate y'all.
how do you kind of come away from this season? Obviously, didn't play this year, but you did win a 3-point contest. The team made it back to the playoffs. Kind of what is your takeaway from this season, and kind of what are your hopes going forward in the offseason?
I would say my takeaway is just that we had a great season in my opinion. Just taking a big step for our group, making it back to the playoffs. We experienced a lot of adversity, and it was a lot of opportunities for us to fold and kind of just pack it in, and we didn't. So I was proud just as a teammate, and being a part of this organization again, to just see how we responded to everything and find ourselves where we did, in the playoffs and in a competitive series.
What did you learn this year, not being able to play, but being around coaches, players, seeing everything that's going to help you when you do get back on the floor?
I think one of the things that was most helpful for me was being able to just watch the game up close the way I did without, having my emotions tied to it, not being on the floor. I was able to see the game a little bit differently, kind of from a coach's perspective, like what should we do now? What is the other team trying to do? I was able to watch the game from that lens. I also got an opportunity to learn my teammates, I'm going to be playing with these guys and, just seeing what might set them off, seeing what they're doing when they play well, seeing where they might struggle, seeing where our team struggles, ways that I think we could improve just from the side, as a spectator. So I think, that was kind of my position throughout the season. But that was really it. I would say that that was my experience.
From that
Looking
coach's
at that,
perspective,
like,
how do you
think
think Tiago did in his role? From that coaching perspective, how do you think Tiago did in that role?
I thought he did well. I think just being launched into that seat, as a head coach out of nowhere, unexpected, having to be a leader of men, in this league is tough. When you got to deal with minutes and managing personalities and rotations and things like that, it's tough. And I thought he did a great job doing it on the fly. As the season went on, I think he started to impose his style and, what he wanted to get done more and more. And, you could see it in how he used his voice and how he commanded, film sessions and huddles and things like that he settled in and got comfortable. And you could see his investment in the team and how successful he wanted the team to be. And I think a lot of our success down the stretch is because of, how much he put into it.
Obviously, you're coming back. What else do you think this team needs next season to take that next step?
I would say the number one thing for me is, just getting the experience that we got will help us a lot going forward, because you see what it feels like to have success and to come up short. And, my experience as a young player when I got my first taste of that, it just made me want to hurry up and get back and try to, make it right and go further. So I think that's like the one thing that I think will make us better is that we got there and we saw what it was like and we came up short. So that's one thing, but I think the obvious thing is, we just need to be a better shooting team. I think when you got a guy like Denny who's constantly getting downhill and in the paint and, forcing teams to have to help, it's going to generate good shots, it's going to generate opportunities, and we got to be able to capitalize on that. And, I'm going to be in the paint. I'm going to get around my guy, and teams are going to help. I know that I'll get attention, and it's going to lead to open shots as well. You got a guy like DC who's, probably the best offensive rebounder in the league. And, I think about somebody like Robin Lopez, who was the same way on the offensive glass, just getting offensive rebounds, and that led to a lot of threes for our teams. So those are just three situations right there where, like, we're going to have a lot of shots. And we got to be able to shoot the ball. We got to make shots and capitalize on those things. And that, I think that takes us up a level as a team right there.
But that's something those are things that come to my mind right away. You know, just being able to make shots and just our level of seriousness. You know, when you are a younger team, you have a natural like looseness and freeness about you, and it helps you in a lot of ways because you're just free. You know, you don't know what you don't know sometimes, and I think now is the seriousness that we can have. You know, our approach to how we do everything, more serious about it, and I think we will be, like I said, based off of our experience, and I think that'll also take us up a level.
There was a lot of talk over the last few weeks of you potentially having an early return. Was that something you actually mulled, or was that all talk and not actually?
Was that something I actually would?
Mulled. Was that something you thought about coming back for the playoffs?
I definitely thought about it. It wasn't. I never like put it out there like, hey, you like let's start a conversation about it. It was funny that it started to come up because I never really mentioned it. But I think how I started to go about the process, like in my daily stuff, and how I started to build up and how I looked, people probably was like, but I definitely, had thought about it where it was like, depending on how far this goes, I would definitely have been eyeing a possibility of coming back. But I was also aware of, it's been a full season, and, our team is playing well, and, I wouldn't want to be disruptive to, where we had come to that point. And, fans and people who aren't the ones doing it, they would have expected like this heroic comeback. And it's like, bro, I haven't played in a whole year. And, even though I've been training, I know I would have been able to be productive. But, that's giving me a lot of credit to think I'm going to just come back and just, go crazy. So
We've seen the videos of, what you're doing. Where are you at in your rehab? When do you think you'll be able to do some live run and stuff like that?
I've already started. Yeah.
How's that going?
It's going good.
So what does your summer look like?
Like it always looked, but a lot more live. Like I'll continue to keep playing like I've been playing, and I'll continue to just keep playing.
First time getting to talk to you since media day, so I was just curious what that day was like for you when everything came out about Chauncey, and just kind of what kind of effect that had on you, because I know he was a big reason why you came back here.
It was tough for me. I didn't even think about it from a basketball standpoint. I've known Chauncey for years and years, even before he became my coach. A lot of respect for him, and just to see him have to, have that experience, and all of the things that were up in the air and being said, and just not knowing anything about it. I just felt bad for him having to experience that, and that it had come to that. But that was my feelings on it. Like you said, I came back here. A big part of it was to play for him. And my respect for him as a coach. But my thoughts and my feelings went directly toward him and his family, just for the experience that I knew was to come.
What was it like for you just waking up that day at like 5:30 a.m. and seeing that come across your phone?
I think I was as shocked as everybody else.
Game, obviously, it's going to depend on what happens in the offseason, but as of right now, what is your expectation for this team going into next year?
I think just looking at our depth and our versatility, from our size, the different lineups we can play, how many different guys can do things. And, the experience that we had this year, we beat all of the best teams. I thought we were competitive against everybody. And we got some playoff experience against a 60-win team, and we had our opportunities. This could have easily been 3-1 going back to San Antonio, had we held it down a little bit better in those two home games. So for me, I think now we have to be going into the summer looking at, like, man, how do we get to that point, where we in those high 50s, trying to become one of those high 50, 60-win teams, because I think it's all there for us to do it. and I know the impact that I'm gonna have on our team. You know, I've not just on the floor, but just in our mentality and how we do our stuff on the daily. Um, I'm just excited for people to see, like, they'll see. I'm excited for them to see what's to come.
Dame, what have your impressions been so far of Tom and the new ownership group now that they've been here for about a month?
Just that he's super competitive. And I think that's one place where we aligned right away. You know, you can tell that he's super competitive. And you know, he has a mind of his own. And, you know, I respect that. And obviously, you guys have been around this league, and it's a different league. You know, you come into it, and there's a lot of things that you got to learn. That goes for players, that goes for coaches, that goes for management, scouting. Regardless of how you come into the NBA, it's a lot of things that you have to pick up and learn about the NBA, and that goes for ownership as well. And I think he's doing that. You know, you see him around all the time, and he's picking up, you know, what the league is about and how it is. And, you know, he'll get to that point where he understands exactly what the NBA is like and what it is. And I know that just from being around him and talking to him. So, like I said, I respect him, you know. I like his mentality. And, you know, we'll see how things continue to unfold.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Dame.
Thanks, Dave.
Vinny, first off, how do you come away from the season? Your thoughts and feelings about the way the team played and what you guys were able to accomplish, both from a team perspective and from an individual perspective.
Well, I can talk about it for ages, but I'm gonna try to keep it short. I think that first of all, you know, joining the Blazers last year, we didn't make the playoffs, and coming to this year, you know, everything we had in the beginning of the season, it wasn't a smooth ride at first, but we managed to connect as a team. We managed to stay together through this roller coaster throughout the year. And I feel like we made a lot of progress, and a lot of guys got better. Young guys, a lot of the vets helped us also with it. But in general, just I didn't know what to expect from this season. But the more I played with the guys, the more I understood there was something special. Nobody really expected us being the 7th seed, and we managed to do that with a lot of fight, a lot of resilience, a lot of just going out there every night and just give it all. I think after we lost to San Antonio in the series, I feel like none of us felt that we did not leave anything out there. We gave it all. We did the best we could. And I'm very happy from the progress we made and just how we managed to kind of go through this year.
And I guess you specifically, your growth as a player this year, I think people kind of saw it at the end of last year, but it seemed like this year was when you really kind of got credit for taking that next step.
Yeah, I feel like I had a good year. I didn't also know what I'm capable of, but honestly saying, I couldn't do it by myself. I couldn't do it without my teammates. I couldn't do it without the coaches that came in and pushed me every day, pushed me to be a better player, a better leader, a better guy. And my teammates that trusted me and throughout the whole season, throughout the bad losses, throughout the great wins. But yeah, individually, I'm happy with the progress I made. I still think I have a lot of things to improve and become even better at. I think I'm gonna call it some sort of like my rookie year, because I've never been in those situations, never been in the playoffs, never really had the chance to be one of the leaders of a team. And I'm human, and I wasn't great at that all the time. And I want to be great at it. I want to be better at it. And I had a lot of fun learning from this year and experience what I've experienced with those group of guys.
You said there's some areas you want to get better at. What are some of those?
I would just say maybe be more composed in certain areas. I feel like a lot of times, there are certain situations that I get into a game and my piece is interrupted and I get sped up. We can talk about skill as well, which is, a lot of teams are going to prepare and they know me right now, and maybe have different solutions, learn how to drive both ways, be a better defender, a better leader, be more vocal. But in general, I think I don't need to overthink it. I have great coaching staff and great organization that knows what they need from me and what I need to do to help this team become better. Other than that, yeah.
Danny, speaking of the coaching staff, are you hopeful that Tiago's back next year?
I think Tiago did a great job. Think, as I said in past interviews, he got thrown in not an easy situation, and I think he got the best of all of us. I think he believed in all of us. I think he did a great job of connecting this group, of making sure we're always positive. And credit also, to the assistants behind the scenes. Tiago's in the front and he's doing a great job. I think in general our whole coaching staff has worked night and day for us to become better, watching film, come up with game plans. But I definitely love Tiago. I love playing for him. And it was a great run.
Danny, how do you feel like you acquitted yourselves in the playoffs? Your first time there and your first time having that kind of concentrated focus from an opponent, game in, game out. How do you feel like you handled that, and how do you develop and get better in those moments?
I don't know how to assess how I dealt with it. I felt like, obviously San Antonio is not an easy team. Very aggressive, very good defensively. I think I was ready for them to be physical with me, but I never really felt that playoff physicality. I think I didn't back off. I think I wasn't scared of anything. I left it all on the floor. I had a pleasure and I had a lot of fun doing it with my teammates that I've been fighting with the whole year. And I feel like also, as I said, I felt like it's kind of was my rookie year because I never been in this position in this situation before. I never had um, that amount of detail and focus from an opponent on me, and I felt it throughout the series. I think that helped me realize what I need to develop in terms of my skills to be even more effective and better and help my team even more um, next year. But I think it was solid, I guess, I want to say.
Denny, there was a stretch starting in mid-late November for 30 or so games where there was no point guard. And to your point, you're asked to do things that you haven't been asked to do, and now your responsibilities have grown. How much did that stretch just kind of help your overall game and unlock things that you didn't know were there?
Yeah, I came back to kind of my roots and how I kind of started playing basketball, which is kind of initiate and being aggressive going downhill. And I had a chance to do it this year for a big stretch, and I felt like for me the experience of having this opportunity was great. I think I needed that for my game. I needed to see what I can do and to unlock my potential. And at the end of the day, my job was make sure that I get everybody involved. I get everybody, open shots and just making the right play every time.
You thought about playing next to Dame and what he'll bring, and what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, me and Dame had conversations throughout the year. Obviously, I know Dame is a great player, and he has a lot of things we need. And obviously, as a leader, as a person, he's a great guy and fun to be around. And as I said, he's a competitor, and I think we both have mutual goals, and we both love each other's game, and I think we really can do great things together and as a team for sure.
אם נלך אחורה שנה מהיום, לסוף עונה שעברה בתחילת העלייה, יכולת לדמיין או להאמין שאתה תסיים עונה כאולסטאר וכשחקן שנלחם חזק בפלייאוף? ואם כן, מה אתה יכול לדמיין ולהאמין להמשך בשבילך ובשביל הקבוצה?
אני חושב שאחרי השנה הבנתי שאין כל כך גבול למה שאתה יכול להשיג ולמה שבאמת אפשר להגיע. נהניתי, ולא יותר מדי חשבתי על מה יהיה עוד חודש או עוד חודשיים. בתחילת השנה לא חשבתי על להיות אולסטאר, חשבתי איך אני מגיע הכי טוב לעונה ואיך אני משחק את המשחק הראשון של העונה הכי טוב. וכל פעם שקמתי בבוקר לעוד משחק ולעוד אימון, התרכזתי נטו ביום הזה. לא התרכזתי במספרים שלי, לא התרכזתי אם אני אבחר או לא אבחר, או אם אני אהיה בפלייאוף או לא אהיה בפלייאוף. התרכזתי באותו רגע להיות הכי טוב ולהיות שם עם הקבוצה שלי, ובאמת כשאתה מסתכל אחורה זה מטורף השנה שעשיתי, אבל אני מרגיש שבאמת השמיים הם הגבול, ויש לי את כל כך הרבה מה להשתפר ודברים באמת לחדד ולעשות יותר טוב, שאני מתרגש לקראת ההמשך אפילו. אני חושב שדברים הרבה יותר גדולים בדרך, וזהו.
Danny, how frustrating was it to deal with your back injury, and did you ever really recover from that?
I can say it's behind me. It was frustrating because it was lingering, and with this type of injury, you got to make a decision because I knew it's not going to get worse. I don't want to say that the medical did not put me in any risk. I could have played. But the fact that it's still there and it's still lingering and you're playing with some sort of pain, it's rough sometimes. You have to reinvent yourself. You gotta understand how you move more efficiently. And I feel like I was in a good rhythm, and then it kind of broke my rhythm. But everything happens for good. I feel like there's a reason for everything. Maybe I needed a little bit of a break. But other than that, I just kept fighting through it. I was I didn't want any excuse. I know the team needed me.
I wanted to be there, and I just do what I can to play with it and to be as effective as I can be.
אין לנבחרת משימות גדולות הקיץ, איך זה ישפיע על העבודה שלך בקיץ הזה וההכנה לקראת העונה הבאה?
היה לי חלונות, כאילו היה לי קיצים שהייתי בלי הנבחרת, שלא היה מחויבות. פשוט תמשיך באותה דרך, אין כל כך מה לחשוב.
Danny, I know the season just got done, so maybe you haven't kind of thought about it too much, but do you have any expectations for next season, like what you would like the team to achieve, particularly coming off of what you guys were able to do this season?
I'd just like to see the progress. I feel like to get better every season. You know, last year we didn't make the playoffs. This year we had more wins. We made the playoffs. And next year I hope to create some and get some damage in the playoffs and go even further. I think there is good core here. There is great organization and great coaches, great staff to help us build on what we did this year. And I think Rip City is in good hands. Thank you guys.
Something's different.
Hair looks good.
It's a shirt, that's it. It's a shirt.
First off, Scoot, just how do you come away from the season? Kind of your thoughts and emotions about the way you guys played this season, the journey you guys went on, and also individually, kind of after missing so much time, how do you view back on your performance this season?
Yeah. Well, I say for an overview of the season, more specifically, I think just as a team we were very resilient in the way we approached the game, the way we approached every game this season, the way we approached the season in general. We had a lot of ups and downs as a team, injuries, whatever it may have been, but everybody came the next day prepared and ready to play and ready to get on the floor and give our fans something to applaud at. So I gotta say thank you to my teammates for that, to just be resilient, and for me, just overcoming injury, a long-term injury that I never ever experienced, and that right there was tough, but man, my faith in the man above, he always will help me out in the long run. So,
What was the message from Joe and others in your exit interview today?
I think for me, just continue to be defensively sound and continue to grow. This summer is going to be a great summer, and just continue to be healthy.
For you last year, by all accounts, you had a great summer, and then the injury happened and it set you back and you didn't get to play. I think a lot of folks were excited to see what that summer was going to lead to for you. Do you feel like you got to where you wanted to, or is that something that another summer, more work is going to get you to that place where you had hoped to be after last year?
I'm right where I'm supposed to be, man. The man above don't make no mistakes, for one. But I feel like this summer would be another great summer, For all accounts, more work, I'll be better. The team will be better, coaching staff, whatever. We'll all be better for next season.
Scoot, what can you say about the job that Tiago did this year?
And it was amazing. I think just having to be put in that role and lead a team to first round of playoffs. We only had one win, but I think it was kind of special that Tiago, former player, kind of took that role, and he didn't second guess it. He stepped up, put his chest out, and said what he had to say to all of us, and he was honest about it, and he cheered us all on.
What will your summer look like? Where will your focus be?
I think my focus would be just finishing at the rim, a lot of finishing at the rim, continue to work on my shot, and then more specifically just keeping my body healthy, keeping it strong, because I know how kind of the postseason feels a little bit, and even though I only played probably 40, 30-some games, I didn't play 82 like Tumani, but just seeing how that playoff felt and knowing that we could go even further, I think that's going to be a big part of next year, of just keeping that body and making sure it's healthy throughout the way.
There were some videos last offseason of you working out with Drew. Have you guys talked about connecting again during the summer to get in the gym?
Man, all of us. I think all of us are. Obviously, I'm going to give my teammates some time to kind of relax. And, guys like Tumani, he's like, nah, I'm not trying to relax. I see how this feels, and I'm back. Like, we're trying to get to the finals. So that's where his mindset is, and I'm like, that's what I like to see, and that's what you love to see out of your defensive leader, out of Tumani Kamara, and I think, yeah.
Scoot, how do you think you fit with Dame, you guys playing together next year?
Honestly, I've been playing off the ball more and on the ball, so it'd be special to see how that pans out. Dame was one of my favorite players growing up. I always used to play 2K, and I used to have like 60, 50 with him. So being his teammate, and actually playing alongside him, I think it'd be great, man. Just for Rip City to see, and for all the other guys to just be a part of. I think it'd be fun, like just having a guy like Dame on our squad to playing on our squad at least.
that point, having Dame, when you're sitting out for 50-plus games, and he's right there with you, and Drew was out for a lot of that time, to have those veterans and see what they're watching, how they're processing things, and then how they're approaching the game, how much did that help you in the time that you were out to be able to grow in that time despite not playing?
I think obviously they have their own injuries and things going on that they are dealing with at the time, and I didn't want to like kind of be that person in there like, so what you think about this? But sometimes you got to do that to get better, and as a teammate, just pick your teammate's brain. So it was I'm not gonna say it was cool because we were all injured, so it was not cool at all. But for us to kind of be 1, 2, 3, it was like, wow, I'm really going through a similar situation with two amazing players in this league, and I kind of just see how they approach every day, and they approach every day with the mindset of I'm gonna get better today, and that's kind of my approach. That is my approach, and my thing is to be overly determined to dominate every single day, and that kind of just summed up like this is where I want to go. Like I want to approach every day, and I want to get better, healthier, whatever it is, stronger. And Dame came in every day and did his thing, had his family time, and man, it was fun just to watch. I'm not like the person to just sit there and be like, so what do you think this, but like if it's really bothering me, I'll ask him, but yeah.
It's good when you take a look at this season. So many roles change for so many guys, and in your career, you've been more of a playmaker. But it feels like for the last month, 6 weeks, that role kind of shifted for you. You talk about playing off ball, but you've been so much more of a scorer. Was that an edict that kind of came from the coaching staff? Is that something that you guys kind of talked through, or where did that kind of originate from?
Honestly, no, man. I just accepted the role. I'm like, well, if I'm not gonna do that, so I'm gonna help my team somehow, and that's just trying to put the ball in the bucket and be defensively locked in. And whenever I'm on the floor, I try to just maximize my time. And it'd be games where I look back and I'm like, you didn't do that there. So I'm just every day is just a thought of like, no, maximize your time. Whatever time you get in, you don't expect anything back from it. Don't expect to bring it up every single time. So I think it's just a matter of being comfortable in anything, and that's what you work on in the summer for. You work on a couple situations, but I think for change, you work on anything that happened and change, and that's what I did. I was prepared for it, and I worked the summer for it, worked while I was injured, and just tried to come back and help my team win games. That was my mission.
Was there anything specific in you that triggered that mindset change? Because when you first came back from the injury, you were still trying to create a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, well, if I get up top, I feel like whenever I bring it up, I try to create. I don't want to be that player to just come down, especially as a point guard, come down. Because I could take a shot every single time if I really wanted to as a point guard, but you try to get guys involved. That's what point guards do. Jason Hart, my Ignite coach, he said, are you a point guard or a points guard? And that was just, I thought about that during this whole situation. I'm like, well, I guess I'm a points guard at this point, just try to get the ball up. But whenever I do get it, I just try to make that decision, okay, attack or make a play.
Scoot, you're extension eligible this summer. Is that something you hope gets done, or do you see yourself here long term?
By the grace of God, whatever God got in store, man. Obviously, you hope for the better, and you hope that the organization wants to keep you and things like that. But, man, whatever the man has in plan, I'm with it. I'm going to do my part, and I'm going to work hard this summer and show them that I love it here. But
looking at next season, what's the next step for you?
Go deeper in the playoffs. I think that's my next step as a player, and as a team, that's all of our next step. Go deeper in the playoffs, get to the finals, try to win the finals. That's my mission, and honestly, whatever it takes in the summer, whatever it takes throughout the season, that takes me running up hills this summer, I'll do it just to stay conditioned and things like that. But I feel like my mission is just to continue to get better on both sides of the ball. Like, I know who I am, who I can be on the defensive side of the ball, and I think that's what I'm gonna try to do better at.
Thanks,
Thanks.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you for being here. Good season for us. Really, really proud of the work that the guys and the staff accomplished. It was a good playoff run for us. I think we left the Spurs the Spurs series both encouraged and disappointed. We encouraged by steps we've taken, where we're headed, but disappointed. We thought we could have played better, and we understand it's a process. It was good to get those reps in against a really good team, and a lot of good exit meetings today with the guys, and a lot of positivity and excitement around where we're headed. So that was step one. Now our challenge is to, keep getting better, and we can get into some of that. And just walking out of here really optimistic about, a big step that this team has taken.
On that note, what are the biggest needs this offseason? What do you think this team is missing?
Yeah. From a skill set perspective, I think, the Spurs series showed us that, and really the whole season, that we just don't shoot the ball well enough. So, shooting is something we knew we were somewhat deficient in, and something that we tried to address a little bit at the trade deadline with Krejci. Something that Dame will definitely help with, but it's still a need moving forward. We played a lot of possessions in the mud where, it was a crowded paint for our attackers, specifically Denny, Drew, Scoot. Like, they just didn't have a lot of room to operate. And, teams guarded us a certain way, knowing that we were really good at the rim and not great on the perimeter. And, I think offensively that just created issues for us throughout the season, highlighted by high turnover rate and low shooting percentages. So that's one thing. I think, we also just, still need to keep improving our talent base. A lot of that will come internally. I mentioned Dame already. Of course, that's a big talent boost. But individually, our guys got to keep getting better. We have a lot of young guys who have a lot of growth in them still, so they got to take another step. But also, we need to look externally for additions that can continue to, boost our talent. This league, this Western Conference, it's tough. We've got to, keep getting better and keep, stacking these players to be able to compete with these guys.
On that note, like ownership-wise, what's Tom's directive or edict heading into the offseason? What does he want to see?
Yeah, growth. He wants to see, us continue to get better, on and off the court. Tom and I spend a lot of time. He spent all season, he's so competitive and so diligent and so engaged with this team already. He studied us deeply and intensely, watches every game. We talk pretty much after every game. So he got a really good feel for us, even before he took over, he was watching all the time. And I think was really encouraged with what he saw. He saw continued growth. He saw a talent base that is very promising, understands the assets that we have moving forward with all these picks that we have. So he challenges us every day to, go gain an advantage, go, find the right player at the right price point to can keep improving our roster, but also, internally improving our processes and, how we're looking at things, whether it's from a coaching standpoint and our style of play and, our player development techniques, whether it's to health and performance or scouting, it's just overall just getting better and better and fine tuning, all these areas that are needed in order for a team like ours to thrive.
Joe, the last couple of years, you talked about going into the season as an evaluation year. And this year, it would still be an evaluation year with more of the hopes of winning and all that. How do you evaluate this year, considering all of the injuries? The rotations were different. Guys were in and out and asked to do different things. So how do you evaluate that?
I thought at times it almost made it easier to evaluate because we saw a lot of our guys be put in positions that challenge them and, that they may have not have been in otherwise. I think Denny's probably the premier example where, the season prior we put the ball in his hands quite a bit and saw him thrive. This year we put that in hyper mode and he literally had to carry our offense for, 6+ weeks where he was the point guard, he was the playmaker, he was the initiator. So we were able to test those limits of his capabilities and saw that he was able to live up to those. Bunch of other different examples where we just were able to see all these different subsets come to fruition, whether it's City Sissoko getting 1,000 minutes or Caleb Love getting 1,000 minutes or Shaden Sharp bumping up his usage, up to the 30% range, to Scoot Henderson starting and getting some great playoff reps, to Donovan Clingan being dominant for some stretches because of his ability to play big minutes, play through some mistakes, just continue to grow. We saw a lot of individual wins this season. I'm happy with how the team did, but individually, I thought there were a lot of great things. I mean, Rob Williams coming back healthy and looking like the Rob of old. Matisse Thybulle coming back from injury and being really impactful. Jeremy Grant coming off what I think he would say, a rough season the year prior, being, a 120 PSA guy again and banging down threes and getting to